The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brief. The Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, has revoked the accreditation of eValue Philippines over a disputed 1.33 trillion peso property valuation for Villar Land holdings. The regulator called the appraisal reports unreliable and in violation of international standards. eValue faces the maximum 1 million peso penalty. 3 Villar Land subsidiaries, Althorpe Land Holdings, Chalgrove Properties, and Los Valores Corporation, must submit new verifiable valuations. The SEC warned the inflated figures could mislead investors since they were already included in audited financial statements. Villar Land's subsidiaries must now revalue their properties with reliable, verified reports. The United States is boosting aid for Philippine communities hit by typhoons Tino and Uwan. U.S. Ambassador Mary Kay Carlson announced an additional $1.5 million in emergency relief during a visit to Clark with Defense Secretary Gilbert Chodoro. The new funding adds to the $1 million already provided after Typhoon Tino struck the Visayas. Ambassador Carlson toured distribution sites, handing out DSWD family food packs. She called the joint operations a clear example of, quote, friends, partners, allies working together on urgent humanitarian missions. Catastrophic floods left more than 100 people dead in Cebu, with more than 40 still missing. Members of religious group Iglesia Ni Cristo still coming out in droves on the second day of their protest action, calling for accountability amid the budget insertions and flood control scandal. Ian Maghanoy joins us live from the Quirino Grandstand for the latest. Hi Ian, what's the situation there now?
Only 220,000 numbers of people or individuals coming from the Iglesia Ni Cristo have gathered here for the second day of the three-day rally for transparency, accountability, justice, and peace in Quirino Grandstand here in Manila. National Capital Regional Police Office Chief Police Major General Anthony Aberin told Bilyonaryo News Channel that the said figure was recorded at 2 in the afternoon this Monday, compared to 600,000 recorded number of protesters last night. Aberin clarified that the figure remains partial, stressing the numbers of protesters here may still rise tonight. The police have earlier recorded 40,000 protesters, which then rose to over 600 million who flocked here last night. Tomorrow is the last day of the protest of the Iglesia Ni Cristo here in the Quirino Grandstand in Manila, where the police are being expected to prepare for any eventualities. And however, the regional director of the National Capital Regional Police Office claimed that the police have yet to report any untoward incidents and security threats, stressing that the second day of this protest was generally peaceful. Mai?
Thank you, Ian Maghanoy, live from the Quirino Grandstand. As the country grapples with questions of public accountability, another controversy is unfolding in the private sector, this time involving a major Cebu development. The developer of Monterrazas de Cebu is defending itself amid allegations of mass tree cutting and worsening flooding in Cebu City. In a November 14 statement, the Mont Property Group says claims that more than 700 trees were removed are false, adding that only shrubs and secondary undergrowth were cleared under approved permits. Celebrity engineer Slater Young says the project is designed with sustainability features, including an irrigation system that collects and channels rainwater. The Environment Department, however, reports only 11 trees remain on the site and is now investigating possible forestry and environmental violations. The developer says the site is kilometers away from the hardest hit areas and in a separate watershed. It adds that its flood mitigation systems exceed government standards and it pledges continued coordination with local communities. Small businesses are criticizing the Bangko Central's 500,000 peso daily withdrawal limit. Senator Kiko Pangilinan says he has received multiple complaints from businesses struggling to transact with banks because of the cap. Both Pangilinan and Senator Sherwin Gatchalian called the move a knee-jerk decision that could hurt economic activity.
Is this not knee-jerk response by the BSP?
Personally, definitely this is a knee-jerk reaction.
Could it have been a contributory factor in the drop in economic transactions? And therefore, baka sana 4.2% ang growth natin noong third quarter naging 4 kasi nga ang hirap mag-transact sa mga bangko.
Possible. This is possible. And also moving forward, it can also create some negative effects. The BSP acknowledged this, Mr. President, and they are now reviewing this policy.
We're taking a short break. More stories are coming up next. You're watching Business Brief. You're back on Business Brief. The National Bureau of Investigation denies claims made by former Representative Mike Defensor on the alleged unlawful detention of former Congressman Zaldi Co's aide. Defensor earlier said on Bilyonaryo news channels The Spokes that Co's aide John Paul Estrada and his wife were harmed and unlawfully held by NBI personnel. The agency responded to these allegations, saying these were unfounded and unsupported by evidence. Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin declined to speak about the rumors, alleging he is being removed from Malacanang. Bersamin told the press to wait for an official announcement. However, his vague answer fueled ongoing rumors of a potential shakeup at the palace. Finance Secretary Ralph Recto denied knowing about a cabinet revamp or that Economic Affairs Secretary Frederick Go could replace him. Trump President Philip Hagedorn says a 50 basis point rate cut could spark investment and attract foreign capital. Interviewed on BNC's Business 360, he warns that government spending will likely taper in the coming quarters. High interest rates and policy uncertainty have been slowing business expansion and investment.
Of course, the corporates will want to follow government and spending. And right now it looks like we're going to have to pull back on that government spending until we can clean the mess that we're in. So that means maybe a couple of quarters of slower government spending. But the sooner we get that back on track, the better. And I think the corporates will follow.
A cut above 25 basis points may weaken the peso, but Hagedorn notes it could boost remittances and holiday spending.
Well, we have deep issues, so we need help, and I think lower interest rates will help. So again, there's always a counterpart to what you do, right?
Yeah.
And the counterbalance is the peso. We have reserves at all-time highs. We do the cut in the middle of December when flows are maybe strongest from our OFWs. That might help a little bit. And the consuelo there is that a weak peso is actually very good for our OFW remittances, right?
That's right.
The DILG will look into calls for President Bongbong Marcos's ouster during the United People's Initiative rally in EDSA. Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla says the rally's clamor was close to inciting to sedition. On Sunday, several speakers at the rally urged the president to resign. Although Remulla did not name specific individuals, he emphasized that freedom of expression comes with a sense of responsibility. Former Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo warns political loyalty between President Marcos and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez may not hold for long. On BNC's At the Forefront, Panelo said public pressure has been mounting over the government's corruption scandals. This as former Congressman Zaldi Co released a series of video messages accusing the president and Romualdez of pocketing 56 billion pesos in kickbacks from flood control projects.
Sa palagay mo ba, will Martin Romualdez stick with President Bongbong Marcos till the end?
Sa tingin ko, survival mode lahat yan. Magtuturuan lang yung mga yan. Pero, at the end of the day, they will all be jailed. Kasi people are revolting now. Galit sila eh. Maniwala ka.
Oo. But on a practical basis, meron bang possibility na mangyari yun? He'll turn on his own relative.
Bakit naman hindi? Survival mode nga eh. Di ba? Pag mamamatay ka na, manghihila ka na. Pag nasa bangin, hilahin mo na yung tumutulong sa'yo eh.
We're taking another breather. A look at how Philippine shares did today when we return. Stay tuned. You're back on Business Brief. Philippine shares return to positive territory in the first trading day of the week. The PSEi rose over 3% to 57.79, finishing the day as the best performer in Asia. Among the sectoral indices, only mining and oil closed in the red, with financials rising the most at nearly 5%. Advancers outnumbered decliners 115 to 74, with value turnover at 6.8 billion pesos. All of the day's most active stocks ended in the green, with SM Prime rising the most at nearly 8%. On currencies, the peso trades weaker at 59.15 against the US dollar, down from the previous close of 59.07. Cebu Pacific has carried 2.1 million passengers in October, down 1% from last year. Domestic travel declined, but international traffic rose 10.7%. For the first 10 months of 2025, the airline has flown over 22 million passengers, up 12.3% year-on-year, with an average seat load factor of 84.3%. Chief Financial Officer Mark Cesar says, capacity was moderated by supply chain and weather challenges, but he expects double-digit growth in December and January. Dito CME Holdings remains deep in the red for the first 9 months of 2025. In its latest unaudited financials, the parent company of Dito Telecommunications reported a net loss of 24.93 billion pesos from January to September, slightly improved from 25.86 billion a year ago. Despite rising revenue, keeping it in the red are heavy costs, interest expenses, and debt. Dito is led by Dennis Uy, a close ally of former President Rodrigo Duterte. DoubleDragon posts a net income of 2.55 billion pesos in the first 9 months, up 0.7% from last year. Revenues jumped 62.8% to 10.46 billion pesos. The company is expanding across Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, and overseas, including its Hotel 101 global brand, which debuted on the U.S. NASDAQ this year. Plans also include growing its industrial warehouse portfolio and exporting Hotel 101 worldwide, bringing in potential U.S. dollar revenue and boosting the Philippine economy. The company is led by tycoons Edgar Injapsia II and Jollibee's Tony Tan Caktiong. Asian stocks are mostly lower after Wall Street's lackluster finish last week. South Korea's KOSPI rose slightly. Australia's ASX is flat. The rest of Asia's markets are lower. In the currency market, the US dollar is steady against the yen, Hong Kong dollar, and baht, but stronger versus the Singapore dollar and South Korean won. The Australian dollar, meanwhile, weakens. In commodities, gold dips 0.5%, while oil is mixed. In cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin climbs nearly 0.9%. Ethereum gains nearly 4%. Japan's economy shrinks for the first time in 6 quarters as U.S. tariffs hit exports. Output fell 1.8% from July through September, with net external demand dragging growth by 0.2%. Quarterly GDP slipped 0.4%, a smaller decline than expected. Analysts say the setback is temporary, with housing rules and front-loaded auto shipments distorting the data. The government is preparing new stimulus as pressure builds on the Bank of Japan to move cautiously on rate hikes. U.S. President Donald Trump warns of consequences for countries doing business with Russia. He says the Republican Party is working on a law that will impose sanctions on any country trading with Moscow, adding Iran may get added to that list. Some senators are renewing a push to get a long-stalled sanctions bill to Trump's desk. The bill would slap tariffs on countries that purchase Russian oil and gas. Sanctions will also be in place for foreign firms that are dealing with Russia's energy sector.
Mr. President, is it time for Congress to move legislation that puts pressure on Russia and puts pressure on Putin?
Well, I hear they're doing that, and that's okay with me. They're passing legislation, or the Republicans are putting in legislation that very tough. It's sanctioning, et cetera, on any country doing business with Russia. They may add Iran to that, as you know. I suggested it. So any country that does business with Russia will be very severely sanctioned. We may add Iran to the formula.
Before we go, we have this just in. Finance Secretary Ralph Recto is in line to be the next executive secretary, replacing Lucas Bersamin. According to a Politico report, Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs, Frederick Go, is taking on the role of heading the Finance Department. It also said Recto has become the President's most trusted troubleshooter. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business, only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel.